Welcome back, everyone, to another episode that has been long awaited NASCAR Around the Track with the Riders, featuring myself, SterlingRider, and Duke Rider. Okay.
Howdy, what's up?
Yeah, mid-season, pretty much. Before we really get into it, again, sorry, my internet sucks. So, Duke Rider's screen's going to be very laggy. Probably just going to see random pauses of him. If you get something funny, let me know and send it to me. But yeah,
Hopefully the audio doesn't screw up.
so far the audio's working, so hopefully it stays that way. So yeah, mid-season, pretty much.
A lot has went on this season, um, but here's the problem: we're talking mid-season, and we still don't have a charter deal. And if you listen to what Brad Kozlowski says versus what Denny Hamlin said this past weekend, Brad says we're close. Denny says I don't think so.
Right. Yeah.
Uh, so jury is still out on the whole um, charter thing, but news did come out that the Front Row Motorsports has gotten a charter. It's believed, obviously, to be from Stewart House Racing, because as far as we know, those are the only ones on the market. Uh,
Yep.
we've heard rumors of other teams, but somebody in those teams have shot those rumors down. We don't know, but basically what that means is Front Row Motorsports now has two open seats with Michael McDowell going over to the 71 for Spire next year. So there's been talk of uh, Cole Custer coming up from the Xfinity Series to fill one of those seats, and then Josh Berry and Rodney Childers and the majority, if not all, of the current number 4 group could be moving to Front Row Motorsports and their newly acquired charter, which would definitely be a plus for Front Row Motorsports. I mean, because they're getting basically a whole team, uh, a championship crew chief. They've got a driver that's championship a championship capable driver. They've got a championship capable team. You go back and you look at a lot of these guys that are still with Rodney started with Harvick in 2014. So Rodney's been able to keep the base group of guys together. So if they move over to Front Row Motorsports, you could almost see, especially with Front Row running as well as they have, you can almost see them almost instantly becoming a playoff contender. I'm not going to say championship contender yet, but a playoff contender.
No, I would definitely agree. I mean, the whole four team has been strong. Obviously, Josh Berry being a rookie, he's still trying to get used to this car of it being his first full season. We know when Chase Elliott was out, he filled in for the 9 team as well. But to take the 4, a championship team, I think that's going to be big for him. And if the whole team does actually move over to Front Row, I see that being it's definitely a very good thing for Front Row, but it's also a good thing for the whole team because they don't have to worry about anyone being lost, which keeps that team chemistry pretty high, which is sometimes needed when going to the racetrack or to the shop during the week. So it's definitely good news if that is what's going to happen.
And that's one of the positives when you look at it, that's one of the positives that's come out of this whole charter system. Okay. You go back to 2018 when Furniture Row Motorsports shut its door. Okay. What happened? A lot of those guys didn't know what they were doing because they were taking a team away from NASCAR. All right, same thing with Levine Family Racing and the number 95 team. When they shut the doors to that team, that was a team that went away. Now, those two teams basically kind of gave birth to what we now know as 2311. Um, in how all that played out. But with the charter system now, you've got a 4-car team that's going away, but those charters are not going away. That means there's still going to be 4 cars on the track. Well, those 4 cars need drivers, they need crew chiefs, they need mechanics, they need engineers, they need the people back at the shop that are putting the cars together and working on the cars and stuff like that. So those people are going to have an opportunity to go somewhere. Now, are they going to go with that charter? A lot of the guys probably not, because all the teams out there are looking for quality guys. But Rodney has said himself that he wants to keep his guys together if at all possible. So if they can basically move that, because also rumor has it that Front Row Motorsports is going to also get the SHR building. Whether they're buying or leasing, that hasn't been. So basically, Rodney and them aren't going to have to do anything. They're not going to have to move. They're not going to have to move their tools. They're not going to have to move anything. They could just stay right where they are. The only thing they're going to change is the sponsors. Basically, what they'll change will be the wraps on the car. Yep. They'll go from the number 4 to the number 34, number 36. Those guys don't have to do anything if Front Row is able to keep that group together. That is nothing but a positive for that group of guys.
I absolutely agree. Not having to move would definitely be huge as well, because then they don't have to worry about transporting everything to the new building. So that would definitely be a bonus as well. So as you said, with the charters and the teams, most teams are, let me rephrase, all teams, whoever's picking up the other 3 charters that are out there, they're top quality crew for to go with each team for the charter. It may be rough, but a lot of these these 4 teams that are going away with SHR, most of them I would say are pretty high quality, but I'm sure there are some more out there that maybe might be on site. So really it comes down to, can you improve to maybe keep your current position, just moving to a new team. So I'm sure there's a lot of people behind the scenes that are trying to figure out things, because right now they don't really know what they're doing for next season. They could be completely done with what they've been doing. So I'm sure there's a lot of people behind the scenes that are kind of stressed out, but hopefully they're taking the actions that to help them improve, to be noticed by other teams that are looking into buying the charters. That way they can keep a good job with one of them. So.
And a lot of the people on that team, and a lot of the people that work in SHR have been at SHR. That means that a lot of those guys have won races. Whether it's on the 10 team, because the 10 teams won races, the 14, the 41 has won. You go back to Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch won several races in the 41 car. Mm-hmm. They haven't had a whole lot of success since Kurt got out of that car. I mean, Cole Custer did win a race in 2020, but still, but you got the 14 has won races. The 4 is obviously, Rodney and Kevin carried that whole organization on their back for a long time. There was a time when they were the only car that was competitive week in and week out. This year Noah Gregson is carrying a lot of that load, which is not fair to him, but he's doing a really good job of doing that. But it's good to see this. Now we just need to see the charter agreement get worked out, so we can get some other answers to what's going on with the rest of the silly season. I think once the charter agreement gets finalized, then we'll start to see a whole lot of press press releases and announcements and press conferences, and a lot of dominoes are going to start to fall. We've talked about this before. But when they start falling, they're going to fall fast. There's going to be a lot of them fall. They're going to fall fast. And I would say by the end of August, we're going to pretty much know what most of 2025 is going to look like as far as drivers, crew chiefs, teams. Obviously, there'll be some changes probably late in the season. Now, here's something that on the same note that came up. I can't remember which podcast it was on. It might have been on Door Bumper Clear. I can't remember which podcast it was on, but they talked about Martin Truex Jr. How long is Martin wanting to race for on these year-to-year contracts? But the question that they proposed was, how long is Joe Gibbs Racing going to keep doing these year-to-year contracts with Martin Truex Jr.? They mentioned, Noah Gragson has a strong relationship with Bass Pro Shops. Bass Pro Shops has a strong relationships with Joe Gibbs Racing. What if Bass Pro Shops comes to Joe Gibbs and says, "Hey, we love Martin, we love what he's done for the sport, but it's time to start building for the future. We're going to throw some money behind Noah Gragson. Can we see JGR sign Noah?" We also know RCR has a strong relationship with Bass Pro Shops, and that's where Noah has been rumored to go. But they mentioned when the podcast, I think it was Door Bumper Clear, but I could be wrong. When they mentioned that, because you know what, I think never mind. I'm sorry, it was Harvick's Happy Hour podcast that they talked about this. I remember now because I remember Harvick saying that Truex is going to have to either do a long-term deal because it's about that time of the year where he needs to start making a decision for the team's sake, not necessarily for his sake, but for the team's sake. What's he going to do next year? I hate to see Martin retire, but Martin's been in the series for a very long time. And I don't quite think he's having the fun that he was having in the past. They seem to have quite a few issues going on over there on that team right now. So his performance has not been good. I mean, you look over the past 3 weeks, the All-Star race, he wasn't all that great. Coca-Cola 373.5 wasn't all that great. Even this past week at Gateway, Martin was, I know they had some tire issues and some mechanical issues and stuff like that, but Martin was laps down. They probably wouldn't have talked about Martin Truex on TV if he wasn't bumping Christopher Bell to help Christopher Bell salvage a decent finish after his engine or transmission or something let go in his car during the closing laps of the race.
His engine had pretty much blown up.
So yeah, it seemed like he had missed a shift and over revved the engine or shifted too late or too early or something, and it caused something to break. But how long is Martin going to stick around? How long is he going to do these year-to-year deals? How long is Joe Gibbs going to do these year-to-year deals before he says, "Okay, look, I got to start building for the future of my team"? Because Denny, he's not a young chicken. Denny's starting to become an old rooster. Obviously Martin's not a young chicken. He does have Christopher Bell over there. He does have Ty Gibbs over there. Denny's not going to race forever. Martin, I don't want to say it's his time, but if I'm Joe Gibbs, I'm looking for either a long-term deal with Martin Truex Jr. If you want a deal, you sign a 3-year deal. That way we're not talking about this every year. Or if you just want a 1-year deal, maybe go find somebody else. We love you, but we got to start looking towards the future. You go back, you look at what Rick Hendrick done. with when Jeff Gordon retired
Mm-hmm.
and Dale Earnhardt Jr. retired. He went and got some young guys and put them in those cars. And then Jimmy Johnson retired. He went and got Kyle Larson and put in that car. Um, and he did some number swaps and stuff like. But he started with a bunch of young talent. And look at them; all of them are race winners. Two of them are champions. One of them is a potential future champion, and then there's Alex Bowman. But I hate to say it, but let's talk about some racing.
Well, so it's been like what, 3 races since we've had an
Yeah,
episode. So we
before the
had
All Star race.
Yep, we had the All-Star race. We had the Coca-Cola, whatever you said earlier,
Three 373.5.
Yeah, there you go. Which was a stupid call in my opinion. And we had Worldwide Technology Raceway. There in St. Louis. So obviously we'll start with the All-Star race. That was a very, very boring race.
I will second that.
Joey Logano put on a snooze fest and won. Boo, because I don't like Joey.
The tire was an absolute failure.
Yep, their
The alternate tire.
alternate tire that they were testing, which was, what was it, like a better grip but wears quicker than normal, something
Yeah,
like that.
Joey Logano changed tires one time and went 100 laps both times.
Yeah.
So
So that did not work at all. So they're
he should have. I mean, they should have had no tire after 30 laps. They should have had no tires left.
yeah, I would
I
agree.
mean, they should have been slipping. They should have been slipping and sliding all over the place.
So it was it was a bad race. However, we had some dramatic interests. On pretty much.
We had a great after the show.
So on lap 2, there was some bumping and banging between Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Kyle Busch. From the way I see it, it was Kyle's fault that he put himself in the wall.
Yep.
Even though they were 3 wide, Ricky was in the middle. I believe Carson Hocevar was on the bottom. Kyle pretty much put himself in the wall, but he thought Ricky had to come up and pushed him in. So he came back and basically wrecked Ricky. So that was quite interesting to see.
Yeah, he threw a Kyle Busch hissy fit.
Yep, typical Kyle Busch. You shouldn't do that to me because I'm better than you, kind of stupidness. So afterwards, after the race had wrapped up, the best part of the whole broadcast, I would say, is we saw. I think it was while they were interviewing Logano. The conversation between Ricky and Kyle Busch. Ricky was waiting at Kyle Busch's hauler, which was quite interesting. I've seen quite a few memes from that one shot of Kyle walking up.
Where Ricky's leaning against I think it was the 3. He was leaning on the 3 truck.
Yeah, I believe so. It's pretty funny. A lot of funny ones. But basically, it seemed like conversation was fine. There was some aggravation there, but I wasn't expecting.
But I think the problem was Ricky was expecting Kyle to say, okay, look, my bad, I messed up. Kyle did not do that. Kyle refused to take any responsibility for what happened, and I think that's what caused it to escalate. But here's the thing. I mean, had it been one punch and it would have been over with, because I mean, Kyle, let's face it, Ricky kind of landed that punch. Yeah, Kyle may have seen it coming and started to turn his head, but Kyle Ricky did make contact. I don't know how much, but it was when the crew guys jumped in that it really started to break down. And then Ricky Stenhouse's dad, I don't know what he was thinking. He went after Kyle.
I don't even know what happened there.
But yeah, that resulted in a $75,000 penalty for Ricky. Two of his crew members, one was suspended for 4 weeks, one was suspended for 8 weeks. His dad's indefinitely suspended. Here's where I have a problem. Kyle Busch intentionally wrecked Ricky Stenhouse.
Mm-hmm.
What has happened to the past two drivers that have intentionally put a driver headfirst into the wall?
Majorly fined. And
yeah,
points
Bubba
deduction.
Wallace and Chase Elliott both sat out a race.
Yep.
So if NASCAR wants to be consistent, which, you know, NASCAR is consistently inconsistent, they should have parked Kyle for a week. I don't know why they didn't. I don't know why they didn't see this as, I mean, I know it was a short track, but I don't see why they didn't see this the same. Because to me, it was the same thing. The other problem that I have with this is how, and I know that NASCAR doesn't control the media. Well, the media controls NASCAR, which we'll talk about with the Coca-Cola 373. I can't call it Coca-Cola 600. They were 200 plus miles short. But media is using this to advertise everything. Okay, NASCAR, they find Ricky. They should tell the media, okay, we find him because we don't think this is right. We don't think it was appropriate. We think he went over the line. So we cannot use this for promotional material.
Right. I mean, I would agree. But it was... I understand the fine, but I don't understand how much they just let it go on social media. I mean, it was all over the place on Twitter for sure. And that shouldn't have kept going even after the fine. Of course, I really don't
every media member that was there that had a cell phone we got probably 15 different angles of this fight, which is great. We want to see these angles. But if you're going to use them, because you know what happens when we go back to the All-Star race next year at North Wilkesboro. What's the first thing they're going to show? What's going to be all over TV? The fight. They still show the fight from the 1979 Daytona 500. Okay, I was 2 years old when that fight happened. I wasn't even 2 years old. I was 1.5 years old when that fight happened. Here they are, 40 some odd years later, they still show that fight. Every time we go to North Wilkesboro, they're going to show that fight. If you're going to show it, if you're going to use it in promotional material, if you're going to use it to promote your series, don't find the people involved.
Right. I would agree.
Now, the crew members, Ricky's dad, absolutely. But don't find the drivers.
Yeah.
So, that one guy, though, on Kyle Busch's team, man, enter him in the Royal Rumble because he's going to do some eliminations. I mean, he was throwing people off that truck left and right.
Yeah. He was being quite a big guy. He pushed.
And then what was great? Yeah, what was great? He showed up at the Coca-Cola 600 with the shirt that says "Get off my truck."
I didn't see that, but that's pretty funny.
Yeah, he showed up with the shirt at the Coca-Cola 600 and said, "Get off this truck." Now that's promotional. That's promotion done right. If you're gonna get in trouble, do something with it. I don't know if you saw the shot of Bob Pockrass' face when he got spun around.
When he got pushed over,
yeah. He ended up taking that and put it on a t-shirt, and they're selling it for charity. Okay, that is, if you're going to promote something like this, promote it like that.
Right. No, I would agree.
I mean, Bob even changed his profile picture on Twitter to that
Yep.
shot. I mean, that was a miracle shot for one. But well, Ricky decided not to appeal the penalty, so he is going to have to shell out the $75,000. But then we get to the Coca-Cola 600. What has been coined as the greatest day in motorsports. You've got Monaco for Formula One, which I don't get up to watch.
I could care less.
You've got the Indy 500, and you've got the Coca-Cola 600. We had the biggest story uh, since 2014. We've got the first person to try to do the double with the Indy 500 and the Coca-Cola 600, and then Mother Nature, who has decided the past couple of years that she hates NASCAR,
Yeah.
decided to literally rain on the parade.
Yep.
Delayed the Indy 500 start for a few hours. Kyle Larson decided to stay and run the Indy 500, which meant he missed the start of the Coca-Cola, what was supposed to be the Coca-Cola 600. Finished the Indy 500, got on a plane, flew to Charlotte. The same storm that delayed the Indy 500 met him at Charlotte.
Yep.
And stopped the Coca-Cola 600. They were maybe 45 minutes to an hour away from having the track dry, and called the race at 373.5 miles. Declared Christopher Bell the winner, which Christopher Bell probably would not have won had they went the whole 600 miles. I think that Brad Keselowski was faster.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if William Byron was faster, but I know because Brad was catching him before that rain caution came out. Now, what would have happened? What would have happened over the next 200, 200 laps or 200 miles? I don't know. But yeah, I don't like this call. I was hoping to wake up the next morning and find out who had won the Coca-Cola 600 because I wasn't going to stay up and watch it. I mean, I had it recording on the DVR. I was going to get up and watch it. I wasn't watching it live anyway because I was out of town, but I did not like this call. And then when I heard who many of the people believe made this call, it made me even madder.
Who was it? I didn't even know.
Okay. Rumor has it. Now, everybody has denied it. Everybody at Fox has denied it. Everybody at NASCAR has denied it. So everybody, all these people have denied it. But rumor has it Fox said, no, we're not going to restart the Coca-Cola 600. I don't know. I don't know how true it is, but with everything that we've heard about TV contracts and the power that TV has, the whole reason we have the stupid playoff system is because of TV.
Yep.
The whole reason we had the chase is because of TV, because TV came in and said, well, football has this game, Super Bowl moment. Baseball has their game 7. NBA has their game 7, unless, of course, we're Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan's never played a game 7. We got to have a game 7 moment in NASCAR. And I still, all these years later, I still think we need to have a full season points championship. But either which way, TV has way too much power. If TV tells NASCAR, you can run the race if you want to, but we're not going to televise it, NASCAR's going to run the race. I don't know how true this is, but I believe that it has some merit.
When you look at it, that just makes sense. When you talk about all the TV deals, we know that's going to happen next season. We know how NASCAR normally approaches when there's weather involved during before or during a race. it's not surprise. It would not surprise me if that was the fact. It seems like Fox would do that when you look at what's all gone on this season with like I just said with TV announcements. So it was stupid, in my opinion. And this, after you telling me this might have been part of Fox's decision. As soon as they knew the Indy 500 would have been delayed, I know you can't really count on weather radars that well, but they should have seen that storm was going to come toward the 600 as well. With that being said, they should have delayed the 600. I either ran to what they ran and then start back up after the storm or the next day, or they should have just delayed the 600 period, because they put so much promotion behind Kyle Larson running the double, and that they immediately threw it down the drain as soon as they knew about the Indy 500 being delayed due to weather. Because Kyle and Rick Hendrick both made the decision they were going to stay. They were going to continue to partake because they'd already put in so much work, and Kyle had shown tons of potential in practice and qualifying for the Indy 500. So NASCAR should have been like, we want this story to play out. We don't want it to be interrupted. That's just my thoughts on it. So.
Well, and from a TV aspect, I can understand that. I can understand that not happening. But my problem with it is Fox knows they're not going to get the Coca-Cola 600 next year. It's already been announced that is Amazon's first race in 2025. Okay. I think this was Fox giving the middle finger to Amazon and saying, we're done.
Well, I would agree. I mean, it sounds like it's what Fox would do. And I think it's stupid, but can you hear me now? Nope. Okay. Welcome back. Sorry, guys. Technical difficulties. Discord decided to say "kapuyu" to both of us, pretty much, and yeah, it just closed. So I don't know what to tell you. So, anyways, back to what we were talking about.
We talked about Fox giving Amazon the middle finger because Amazon's going to get the Coca-Cola 600, and Discord decided to give us the middle finger and kick us out. But this whole TV contract thing coming up in 2025 is going to, I believe, launch some healthy competition in NASCAR. And you can almost bet that Amazon and TNT are going to drop the absolute best coverage that they possibly can. NBC already does a pretty good job at covering the races. So this hopefully will put pressure on Fox to help them kind of pick up their standards, because the past few years Fox has not been good. The booth with Mike Joy, Kevin Harvick, Clint Boyer this year was good, almost great most of the year. Believe it or not, Adam Alexander did a phenomenal job in the Xfinity booth compared to years past. Adam impressed me this year, especially with having to work with the different drivers and commentators that he had to work with. But their production, their camera angles, their asinine amount of commercial breaks, just has, I mean, we're, and I'll just go back to this past weekend at Gateway. They're talking about Josh Berry in the commentary booth. We don't see Josh Berry on TV. We don't see, until Josh Berry hits the wall and wrecks, we don't see Josh Berry on TV. And they're talking about Josh Berry. They're talking about the issues that he's having with the car before he wrecks. But until he actually hits the wall, we don't see Josh Berry on TV. That is, and we've hammered Fox quite a bit this year. If Fox was the reason that the Coca-Cola 600 got cut short, NASCAR might want to really think about the power that they allow television to have over them, or rethink their contract with Fox.
I would agree. So the next thing I want to touch on is with kind of partially going on with the Coke 600 story. Getting Kyle Larson a waiver.
Oh.
There was a ton of back and forth about it on Instagram. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, Twitter was the same way. Okay, here's the problem. Because you're probably not going to like my opinion on this. I know you like my opinion on do away with the playoffs and have a full season point system, point championship, so that deletes the whole waiver process. Because let's face it, even missing a race, he is what, third in points? Second in points, somewhere like that. I think he's second in points after Gateway.
Yeah, I believe so.
So, okay, even missing a race, if we had a full season points championship, there's a good possibility with and they could keep the stage points. I'm okay with that. They could keep the stages. I'm okay with that. So with stage points and win the extra points that they get for a win. Okay, so instead of giving them 5 playoff points, give them 5 bonus points for the win. Give them a bonus point for. Actually, this is the way I think it should be done. You get a bonus point for leading a lap. You get 5 bonus points for leading the most laps. You get 10 bonus points for winning a stage. Well, you get your 10 stage points for winning a stage, just like you do. Okay, for winning a race, you get another 10 points. Okay, full season championship, he still has the opportunity to win the championship. Okay, even with missing a race. The playoff format, NASCAR backed themselves into a corner with this because they have given a playoff waiver to every single driver that has asked, except for Grant Enfinger, who missed a race. And I can't remember if it was 20 or 21, because he didn't have sponsorship, because he was running for multiple teams that year. Was a playoff contender. Should have been. He was in the playoffs in points. Should have been in the playoffs. NASCAR did not give him a waiver because he missed one race due to lack of sponsorship. So other than that, NASCAR backed themselves into the corner to where they almost had to give Kyle a waiver. I almost saw them not giving him a waiver because word has it that there was a lot of people in the office that were ticked off that Kyle Larson said that the Coca-Cola 600 is my priority. I will be there for the Coca-Cola 600. But then the rain delay at Indianapolis happened, and then Kyle changed his tune and says, okay, the Indy 500 is now my priority. Okay, had Kyle went in there and qualified 20th, 15th, 10th even, Kyle Larson probably would have said, the Indy 500 is not my priority. I'm going to Charlotte. He qualified 5th.
Right.
Okay, he qualified in the top 5. Ran in the top 10 most of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Finished 18th because he got a speeding penalty, but there's some controversy behind that too because there were a couple officials that worked for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway that came out on Monday and said that they quit their jobs because their computers that they had in front of them did not show any reason for a speeding penalty against Kyle Larson when the call from the tower came down.
Oh, wow.
How true that is, I don't know because those posts disappeared and I was not able to find them again. Um, so, and again, I don't know. I don't know if that was true because I don't know these. I don't know these guys. I don't know if they were officials. If it happened, it wouldn't surprise me because it's a Hendrick car. Roger Penske owns the IndyCar series. He owns Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Larson was showing up a lot of drivers. I mean, he was running 6th at the time of his speeding penalty. Still in shot of the win. The cards fall just right. He could have been up there fighting for the win there at the end. So because of that, I believe, and a lot of people believe, and rumor has it, and a lot of media members are talking about, there were some people higher up in NASCAR that were mad about that. So they thought about not giving him a waiver. What turned out was they gave him the waiver because Elton Sawyer said, at least he made an attempt. I think maybe if Fox didn't pull the plug, maybe NASCAR pulled the plug, or somebody at NASCAR pulled the plug, said we're not going to finish this race because if we don't finish the race, now we have an out and say that he did not start the race. He did not compete a lap in the race, so we don't have to give him a waiver. So we have 2 possibilities as to why they ended the Coca-Cola 600 early. I don't buy their reasoning that it was too humid. Okay, it's summertime. It's in the South. It's gonna be humid. Okay,
Right.
that's a poor. That's a terrible excuse. Yeah. So, and NASCAR is a southern sport. They know it's going to be humid on Memorial Day.
Right.
So don't give me that mess. Either which way, he got a waiver. I'm okay with him getting a waiver. I am also along the point. Unless you are injured in a NASCAR Cup Series race, as Eric Jones was a few months back, you do not get a waiver. If you're injured in an Xfinity Series race, too bad, so sad. If you're injured in a Truck Series race, too bad, so sad. If you're injured skiing, too bad, so sad. I mean, now, if you miss a race, if you have an injury and you miss one race, and you're still in the top 16 in points, okay, you're still eligible to compete for a championship. If you're in the top 16 and you've got a win, you're eligible to compete for a championship. No waiver needed. Kevin Harvick said the win is the waiver. Kyle Larson's second in points, and he's got wins. He's in the playoffs. Just do away with the waiver. There's no point in it. The only waiver that should be given is if you are hurt in a Cup Series race.
I really don't know what to say.
Hello?
I mean, no, I was being quiet. I was thinking. I
Okay.
I mean,
I thought I saw smoke coming.
that makes sense though. I mean, especially when you get the Cup drivers that go and contend in Xfinity and trucks, or go out like you said, skiing or doing something that they do for fun. They should understand some of the consequences of if something happens. So I would agree with that. I also agree, get rid of the waiver. As you said, if you're in top 16 points and you've missed a race, you should still be eligible, just because you're still in the point standing. Again, same like you said with the win is the waiver. So I believe getting rid of the waiver would also be good. The only time a waiver should be given out is due to an injury. I agree with that. So, yeah.
Because I mean, okay, go back to 2015 when Kyle Busch broke his legs in the Xfinity race. Okay, and then come back and win the championship. I still put an asterisk by that championship because he was injured running in a lower series. He did not have to run in that lower series to get points. Okay. Now I don't want to discourage them from going down and running in the cups in the truck series and in the Xfinity series, or even because a lot of them like to go out and run late models. I don't want to discourage that. But they have to know if you go out there and something happens and you get hurt, your team can still have a championship, because even with Kyle Larson not getting, had he not gotten a waiver, the 5 team, the owner's champion, would still have been able to run for the championship. Okay, why? Because that team deserves to be able to run for that championship because they've won races. I mean, this is, if they want to talk stick and ball sports, this is the quarterback of the NFL team getting hurt and going on. They play 16 games. In the 17th game, he gets hurt. He's out. Season-ending injury. That team goes on and is able to make it to the Super Bowl and win the championship. That quarterback is still going to get a championship ring. That
Right.
team deserves to play in the Super Bowl because they earned their way there. Same thing here. He doesn't get the driver's championship, but he can still go out and get the owner's championship. Okay, I've got no problem with that either. If he goes out, he runs this high limit series that he started, he gets hurt, he breaks his leg, he misses 5-6 races. That's on him. The team, though, they can put a driver in because the 9 car still competed for the championship last year, even though Chase Elliott didn't make the playoffs. I've got no problem with that. But I don't think Chase should have got, I mean, we're both Chase Elliott fans. I don't think Chase should have gotten a waiver last year. That's just my thoughts. That's my opinion on it. Either that or just do away with the whole series, the whole system whatsoever.
I mean, you're making solid points here. So I mean, like I would agree that know the consequences of what your activities. If something could go horribly wrong, then I would say it's going to be better to wait to do it during the off season or something. So I understand your thought process there. So.
Yeah.
Moving on, I'm going to run down the winners of the past 3 races in trucks and Xfinity at least. There's some news coming off of some of the races with fines from that. So I'm gonna just name off. Corey Heim had won North Wilkesboro in the trucks.
Oh, that was a great race too. I mean,
that was a fantastic race. I really enjoyed that
yeah.
one. It was so much. I mean, it's so much better than the Cup race. And then moving on.
Well, in the Xfinity race at Charlotte embarrassed the Cup race, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I would agree. Trucks at Charlotte, Nick Sanchez, also a very good race, I would say. Corey Heim had originally won both stages, and then here comes Nick, and he also won a $50K bonus, which I'm sure was good for him and the team. You could see Sanchez's crew chief. You saw the emotion during that interview after that race of how happy he was to have that win with Nick. So, and then Well, basically at Worldwide Technology, Corey Heim did it again.
Oh, he dominated.
Completely dominated, and even though Ty Majeski got both of the stages, Corey Heim went on and just blew everyone out of the water. So now,
And again, that was a really good race as well. I mean, the Truck Series this year has vastly improved over the past several years. There's not a whole lot of crazy wrecking. There's not a whole lot of stupid driving. It's now, I don't think the series has the talent that it's had in the past, but it also has not had the issues that it's had in the past this year as much. They've still had some issues, but not as much.
right. I'm sorry, I'm scrolling through Twitter on Xfinity's page so I can go
You're
get the
good.
Xfinity.
So let's go ahead. We're past halfway with the Truck Series. Let's go ahead and give the Truck Series a grade for we'll call it mid-season. I think there's 3 races left before the playoffs, 3 or 4 for the trucks. I'm going to give the Truck Series a B this year. Last year at this time, I would have given them maybe a C minus just because that was stupid. But I'm going to give them a B for what they've been doing so far this year.
I would agree. I'm gonna go up just a little bit more. I'm gonna say B plus. I didn't really watch a whole lot of truck races last season due to my schedule, but from what I saw, this year has definitely been a huge improvement. I don't know if it's just the lineups with all the drivers and the teams or what, but there's been it's just been really good this year compared to last year. Obviously there's still some room for improvement, but I don't really see that being exactly the driver's fault. I would see that as maybe the truck packaging and some of the ways they run the races. But other than that, I still give them a B plus. Definitely an improvement from last season.
All right, Xfinity.
All right, Xfinity. So
They didn't have.
they've only had 2 races since last, which was Charlotte and Portland. Charlotte, I really enjoyed, of course, because Chase Elliott won. He won with the 17. The second
And came from the
driver,
back.
Yeah, coming from the back all the way up to the front. Great race from him. I watched the whole thing. I mean, it was amazing to see the speed he had, and what he was able to do with that car. The 17 car has always been struggling getting a win in Xfinity. Of course, we had Kyle Larson finally get one earlier this season. Chase Elliott now has it, so hopefully we can at least get William Byron to win next time he's in the car, to kind of keep that momentum.
That'd be great.
That way you can have a William Byron 17
Right.
Cast from Plan B, or Circle B. It's not Plan B anymore. It's Circle B now. I keep
Used to
forgetting
be Plan B.
Anyways, before I go to Portland, Austin Hill was fined $25,000 and lost 25 driver points from violating code of conduct during Charlotte.
Yeah, because he just totally flat out wrecked. Dang, Cole Custer. I mean, just flat out. It was. This. We talked about this with Kyle Busch a few minutes ago at North Wilkesboro. This was the same. This was totally uncalled for. I believe he should have sat out a race. But I understand, why NASCAR didn't do it. But at least they did something.
Mm-hmm. No, I would agree.
The yellow was.
you just can't get aggravated on the racetrack. I mean, yeah, you're gonna be mad, but you can't take it out on another driver. You're gonna have consequences. Um, I understand the angerment, from playing the video game, but you, again, in a video game it's okay. In real life, don't do it. I mean, you because of that.
But I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything that Cole did that deserved. I mean, Cole already had quite a bit of damage to his car.
Right? Yeah.
That they were beating and banging on each other. This wasn't just a Cole Custer ran up and bumped him out of the way. They've been going back and forth for a few laps.
I honestly don't know what to tell you. So, I mean, anyways, moving on to Portland.
Great, right? Oh my gosh,
that was an amazing race. I absolutely loved it.
Absolutely.
Justin Allgaier had.
Why is the Cup Series not running these cars?
I don't know, man.
But still, it had storylines. It had storylines through the whole race. I mean, from front to back of the field, there were storylines. But this car races great on the road course. The Cup Series should be racing this. This should have been the Gen 7 car.
I would have loved that. We definitely would have a lot better racing in the Cup Series if that was the case. So, anyways, SVG, his first Xfinity win.
Yeah, it was great to see. I mean, I think just about everybody that called that he would win a race this year called that it would be on a road course. So, probably should have won Coda. But yeah, I mean, nobody's surprised. I'll tell you what surprised, and Justin Allgaier running up front at the road course. I'll tell you what surprised me though was AJ Allmendinger not being up front. I mean, I know that he had problems in practice and qualifying that put him in a backup car at the back of the field, but he never got up there. That was kind of shocking to see. But I got to say, Justin Allgaier has turned into. You can't count him out on the road courses anymore. He's turned into a really good road course racer.
When you look at the field, Justin's one of the veterans in the Xfinity field as well. So he's definitely got that more experience. But he's really, even you can tell he's, that he's, how do I say this? I don't know. My mind went blank. But he's improved. There you go. Improved his skill set, on some of the tracks that he would normally struggle with. So it's definitely good to see that with him. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I was waiting. Your video is lagging, so it looked like you were still talking.
I know, I'm sorry.
But you weren't. But yeah, I mean that was a phenomenal. The whole race was phenomenal. And the next road course that we've got coming up, Sonoma this weekend, I look for it to be the same thing. And you watch, okay, Sonoma Xfinity versus Sonoma Cup. Sonoma Xfinity is going to put on a much better show and a much better race than the Cup Series will. Mark my words on it. It's not talent because the Cup has the best drivers in the world. Mm-hmm. It's all car. Right. It's all car. And that car is the Xfinity car on road courses, really on all tracks. Maybe the Cup car is better on the 1.5 miles, but on short tracks and road courses, especially this Xfinity car, puts on a much better show than what the Cup cars do.
I would absolutely agree. So, um, great for SVG to get that first win. Of course, like you said, called it would be at a road course. I remember seeing a video. All three Trackhouse drivers. Well, I would say all four, as there's Zane Smith as well, but we haven't seen him win with them yet. They all have their own celebrations after winning. You got Chastain with his watermelon smash. You've got Suarez with the pinata. And so I remember seeing a video Trackhouse had posted, interviewing SVG what his celebration would be. Obviously, they didn't tell us. We had to wait till he won. But at Portland, we got to see it. Rugby. He signed a rugby ball, and punted it into the crowd, which I actually thought was really, really cool. Kind of a way to.
I tell you what was cool. Did you see that daggum burnout? He did a full lap burnout drifting around the track. That was freaking cool.
That was also very cool. I mean, he was drifting around corners, and I'm like, those aren't supposed to do that. So
no, they're not. The Xfinity car was not a drifting car.
He definitely put on a show for celebrating his first win. So I congratulate him. I look forward to seeing what else he does, the rest of the Xfinity season. I feel like he could contend if he could figure out those oval races, kind of like AJ Allmendinger. If he can figure out the oval races, he's 100% going to be there. So.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something that I heard this week, and I thought it was really cool. And I think they should do this. I think Spire should put him in the 7 truck for Chicago, for the Chicago street course. Which would make it, and if he's able to win that, he would become the fastest driver in history to win in all 3 series in that few of races, with that few number of starts between his win in the Cup Series to his Xfinity win to his truck win. He would have won in all 3 series faster than anybody else.
Wow.
And he absolutely could go out there and do that.
No, I absolutely agree. I kind of hope they do it now, just so I can see it. So stay tuned.
And I know that he got a lot of flack, and you and I were 2 of them that we hated the fact that he came in and won the Chicago street course last year, because an outsider is not supposed to be able to come in and drive and beat what is advertised as the best race car drivers in the world. It's supposed to be the hardest car in the world to drive. And he come in with the street course and with the rain and everything that happened. It was the perfect storm, and he won that race. I mean, legitimate win. I'm not going to say that it was a fluke win by any means, but it's a win that should not have happened. It's a win that should have been embarrassing to NASCAR, that this guy could come in his very first start, never seen this track before, never driven this car before, and win. Okay, so I know we gave him he got a lot of crap over that, but now he's won an Xfinity race. The Xfinity cars, we talked about it, are harder to drive than the Cup cars. They still have the 5-speed transmission in those cars. So now he's went out there on the world stage and proved that he belongs here.
I mean, yeah, I would agree. He has gone out and done that. So. So anyways, moving forward, there was a fine to Kyle Weatherman after Portland. Same thing happened to Austin Hill. Violated code of conduct. Apparently on pit road after the race. So was fined $25,000. I don't know.
Apparently, he spun Ryan Sieg. I didn't see it on TV. Did you?
I did not see it either. So I honestly don't know.
I mean, I know he posted a video. I saw his video that he posted on social media where he apologized for it happening, but I didn't see it happen, and I didn't see a whole lot of coverage on it. So, I don't know. I really can't, because I don't know what happened because I didn't see what happened. So I really can't comment.
I can't either. So I don't know what happened either. You probably saw more about it than I did. Anyway, so yeah. So anything else on Xfinity before we move over to Cup?
No, but that's $125,000 in the past 3 weeks that the NASCAR Foundation has gotten.
Yep. I don't know what to tell you about that. But anyways, actually, before we move on to Cup, I want to backtrack to Charlotte with Xfinity, because it was Cup driver broadcast.
Oh, the drivers only broadcast.
Yep. We had Brad Keselowski and Austin Cindric in the basically at I don't know what the headquarters, I'm guessing.
The studios.
The studio. In the booth we had Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, and who was the third guy? I forgot.
It was Eric Jones, wasn't it?
Was it Eric Jones?
I want to say it was Eric Jones.
Maybe it was Eric Jones.
It sounded like Eric Jones.
Man,
I'd have to go back and watch, but I think it was Eric Jones.
And then the pit reporters was Josh Berry and Carson Hocevar. So we had some drivers that had done it before. We had some drivers that had never done it before. I think the best part of it was when Josh Berry interviewed Dale Jr.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
I thought that was a pretty good thing to see. So just wanted to touch on that. Did you have any thoughts on that, or?
I enjoy this. Kevin Harvick talked about it was kind of a brainchild of his, and it was a joke. He had mentioned something about, hey, the drivers, we could do this, and Fox took him seriously. And but yeah, and as much as we dislike Joey Logano on the track, he did every time he's in the booth, he does a phenomenal job. Had a harder job this week doing play-by-play over just general commentary. I really like the chemistry that he has with Ryan Blaney and Brad Keselowski. And Eric Jones did really well as well. I enjoy these. It gives a new perspective. Josh Berry and Carson on pit road did a really good job for a couple drivers that's never done that before.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of watching some of the behind the scenes stuff that we've seen in the past with not just the drivers only, but other pit reporters. And quite a few years ago, I think Fox did kind of a behind the scenes on what all goes on pit road during the races and the amount of stuff that they've got to keep up with and the materials. And there's less and less people on pit road now, as far as TV reporters. I mean, I remember back in the days when there was like each pit reporter had like 3 to 4, maybe 5 drivers to report on. So there was a bunch of them up and down pit road. but I enjoyed it. I think they did a phenomenal job. I think they had the right combination this year. They didn't. But what would have been better would have been if Ricky Stenhouse and Kyle Busch would have been two of the drivers selected. Why can't we have a feud that's going on the racetrack going in the booth? That would be great.
That would actually be very entertaining. But as you said, Joey Logano has always been really good in the booth. And having that chemistry with Blaney and Keselowski. Of course, to be fair, Keselowski, former teammate, Blaney, current teammate, has been for a while.
So they've got those relationships off the track too, which is probably why they work so well together.
Yeah, but I mean, we still saw. I mean, they had Eric Jones, step in there. It's still pretty good chemistry between the three of them. Carson and Josh down on pit road, those two did pretty, really well for their first time probably ever holding a microphone, to be honest with you. And then you had in the studio, you had Keselowski and Cindric, which I thought was kind of ironic. How you had the old driver of the number 2 and the new driver of the number 2. I thought that was kind of funny, but they both had they also had their own chemistry that was really good between them two. So overall, the whole drivers only broadcast was great. I hope next season, they continue it and they continue to do it even with these TV channel changes, because it's always entertaining to see the drivers go out and try something they're not used to. So
the only with NASCAR taking over production of the Xfinity Series next year for the CW, Charlotte is the perfect place to do it, because if NASCAR is producing it, they're going to do most of their production in studio in Charlotte. But with Charlotte being a home track, I mean, they could take that production equipment and go out and set it up, because they're already going to have their TV cameras at the track. Now they could just go and set up the booth, up there and at Charlotte, actually have the drivers at the track to be able to do this. So I'm with you. I hope NASCAR continues this. Charlotte's the perfect place for them to do this. It gets the fans. And I think it gets the fans of those drivers, the Josh Berry fans that hasn't watched Xfinity since Josh Berry got out of Xfinity, the Joey Logano fans that don't watch Xfinity because Joey doesn't race down there much anymore. The Ryan Blaney fans that don't watch. So all these drivers that have fans from them for the series that they're driving, of course, these were all Cup Series drivers. They watch the Xfinity race to hear their drivers do the commentary. So now you've got more eyes on the Xfinity race. Why not try it? Why not keep it going?
Yeah.
Switch your drivers up. And
completely agree with that. So, yeah, pretty good. Like we both said, I hope they continue it. So, oh, maybe it's just notification. You still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I guess it's just Discord notification. I don't know why I hear it.
And they could do it. They could do it in the fall for the Roval too, with maybe use some truck guys, because I know the Cup guys are going to be concentrating on the playoffs. But maybe use a couple truck guys down on pit road, doing their interviews and stuff.
That would be pretty cool to watch. I definitely would tune in for that one. I tune in for all of them, but still, I'd actually pay attention more or less to actual interviews then. But anyways, yeah, moving on. We'll move on to Cup Series now. So we already talked about the All-Star race, the snooze fest with Joey Logano winning, and then Fight Club. That's all I'm going to say, because the rules of Fight Club.
Talk about Fight Club.
Exactly. So moving on to the Coke 600 at Charlotte, which was more like the what was it 373.5 whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
something like that. Yeah.
it was getting to become a good race until the rain. So Christopher Bell won because they called it early. I
What?
still think that was a dumb
Hey, what do you think
decision.
about that? What do you think about that three wide pass that William Byron pulled off to get the third?
Oh, you mean the one he did in the grass?
Well, the pass in the turf is what they're calling it because it's turf.
uh,
It's not grass anymore. It's turf.
that's true. That was one heck of a move. I mean, you saw Byron had a ton of momentum coming up to both of them side by side. He's like, I'm going around him or I'm gonna hit one of them. So he went around him, and that was a great way to move. Continue to keep your momentum. Obviously, the turf did slow it down just a little bit, but not enough to really affect what he was doing. So that was unexpected, but it was pretty cool. So
Well, you go back to 2021 William Byron. 2021 William Byron does not make that move.
right.
But he's been roughed up. He's been roughed up a little bit. He's had to deal with some aggression on the racetrack, and he's starting to get a little bit more aggressive. And we saw last year he was really aggressive, and it got him some wins
Mm-hmm.
that he probably shouldn't have gotten last year, but because of his aggression, he was able to go out and get those wins. It wasn't wrecking people. He was just making. He was going where they weren't. And he was making three passes. He was making four wide passes. He was doing exactly what he did in the Coke, whatever Coke 373.5. I'm not going to call it the Coke 600. I just can't. They didn't go 600 miles, so it's not the Coke 600.
It's yep.
It was scheduled to be the Coke 600, but they didn't do it. But either which way, 2001 William Byron would not have made that move. But it's moves like that. It's ideas like that. It's aggression like that that wins races and wins championships. It's also aggression like that that gets you one of two things. It either gets you fans, or it gets you boos, or it gets you both. I mean, Joey Logano gets a lot of hate for the way he races on the racetrack, but he's got a lot of fans for the ways he races on the racetrack. Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, Dale Earnhardt, a lot of drivers were just like that. They've got a lot of fans because of their aggression on the racetrack. They got a lot of boos because of their aggression on the racetrack. Okay, I don't like Joey Logano mainly because he drives a Ford, and there's sometimes out of the car that I've seen where he can just kind of be. Some of his interviews are just a little too cocky, but sometimes maybe that's what you need to be a race car driver. But it's aggression, like I said, it's aggression like that that wins races and wins championships. I want to see more out of William Byron to be able to do that. I want to see Chase Elliott to get aggressive like that. He was for a couple, but after his accident, after he broke his leg last year, he just is not. Yeah, granted he does have the best average finish ever of his career, the best average finish of any driver this year. But his aggression level, would he make that three wide move to get to third place? Would he make that three wide move on a green white checkered to win the race? 2021, yes. 2024, I'm not sure about with Chase. So, but that's what wins races and wins championships.
Right.
Is aggression.
The aggression, keeping it clean, but being aggressive with it is, it is part of the racing, especially with the way the cars are built now. I mean, you got to be aggressive to make them work sometimes. So, definitely a huge step up for William. The first few years we saw him race, he was not aggressive. but he's really stepped up the last couple of seasons, and you see it. You see it. He's got the wins from it, and he's made a championship appearance. Sadly, we didn't get the win we wanted for that last season. But
he's still the winningest driver in the Gen 6 or the next gen car.
Correct. So, and I believe he'll continue to keep doing what he's doing, and we'll see a championship soon enough. Whether it be this season, next season, I feel like it's coming sooner than we're expecting. So,
24 and 24 sounds a whole lot better than 24 and 25.
Well, I would agree, but we can't control that. So that's
so maybe if he doesn't win it next year, they go with the number 25 and they go 25 and 25.
Good luck.
I mean, that's a Hendrick number anyway.
That is true. That is true. Because Chase Elliott ran it back in 2013, 2014.
2014, yeah.
Yep. So.
But it was the car that became the 25 team was the team that became the 88 team when Dale Jr. moved over.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So. Oh, so anyways, moving on. I do want to say on Charlotte that from the Kyle Larson running the Indy 500, a lot of those viewers moved over to the Coke 600. At least that's what I saw.
Yeah, but the thing was all the momentum, and we talked about this earlier. All the momentum that IndyCar, when you look at the ratings for IndyCar had massive numbers. Okay, like you said, those drivers would have moved over to the Coca-Cola 600. A lot of them were probably staying up to see what was going to happen. I would have stayed up to see what was going to happen, but I had stuff going on the next morning that I had to be prepared to do. So I wasn't going to be able to stay awake to be able to watch the conclusion of the race. Plus, we had a hailstorm that had came through. We had trees down around where we were staying at, stuff like that. So, if all those, and what I'm saying is, NASCAR lost all that momentum. Now, I know they can't control the weather, but how many of those fans had sat there in front of their TVs for 2+ hours just to be told, okay, we're not going to finish this race? I mean, the fans in the stand, they waited hours just to be told, go home, we're done. I mean, all that momentum that NASCAR had built up promoting the double, they lost all that momentum when they decided we're not going to restart this race.
Right. Which
and all the IndyCar fans that watched the Indy 500 that switched over to watch the Coca-Cola 600 may never turn on another NASCAR race again because of that.
Yeah. But I mean, when you put it like that, what we talked about earlier about how they called the race earlier, it would make sense that Fox was the one that said we're done. Because why would NASCAR want to take everything they had built, everything they had promoted, and just throw it away like that? I'm not saying that they wouldn't, but I highly doubt they would.
But I mean, why would Fox? Fox had the potential for this to be the second highest rated race of the year, following only the Daytona 500. And probably, I don't know what the numbers were, but had Kyle Larson gotten back in the car, what would those numbers have been?
Probably even higher.
So NASCAR missed out on an opportunity to to turn casual fans into hardcore fans, to turn IndyCar fans into NASCAR fans. I think they missed a huge opportunity.
I agree, 100%. But it's said and done, so there's nothing we can really do.
Nope.
So, moving on, we had Worldwide Technology. That was a race.
It was all right.
It was a good race. Go ahead.
The last 15 laps were pretty interesting.
I would agree. I mean, Christopher Bell had been showing tons of speed, the whole race. Then with about, like you said, about 15, it was 10 to 15 to go. He was done. His engine had pretty much given up on him.
Yeah, I mean, he went from battling side by side for the lead with Ryan Blaney to coming out, I think it was turn 2, and he's like, my engine, I'm blowing up.
Yep.
I mean, Austin Cindric passed him. Somebody else, who was it else that passed him? But any which way, he got passed by a couple cars just out of nowhere. And on TV, they're like, something's wrong with Christopher Bell. And then they played the audio, and he's like, I'm blowing up. And I mean, Christopher Bell could have went back to back here. Obviously, he had the speed. He just needed a few more laps under power to be able to do it. But man, that was when Trace got behind him and started bump drafting him. That was Cars movie-esque.
Yeah, it's got to be great. There's just definitely a good, the appreciation, Bell had, and he talked about it in his interview after the race, how he really appreciated Martin doing that for him, because he was still able to secure a top 10. I believe he finished 7th in the race. But if Martin hadn't done that, he wouldn't have had that finish.
He probably would have been a lap down.
Yeah. So it's, that just shows that teammate bond. Even though we don't normally see something like that, it was huge. Martin's probably like, I mean, he needs help. I'm not racing for the win. I've already had my issues for the day. We can at least help him out, to not have such a good run go completely down the drain.
But if Martin would have been running in 5th or 6th place, that wouldn't have happened.
Well,
Martin would have waved at him on the way by.
It's about the positioning and how the race had been going. So obviously if there could have been some different layouts of where everyone was, how that would have ended. But the way it was, it's just what Martin did. So
let me ask you this on that subject. Okay, they've accused drivers before of laying back so that your teammate can get a position, or running partial throttle so that your teammate can catch the leader, and because the leader's not going to be able to pass you, put you a lap down, so you just run partial throttle until your teammate's able to catch them and maybe pass them for the win, which we saw. I want to say it was back in 2021 with Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson and Kevin Harvick. I mean, Chase was not going to let Kevin pass until Larson caught him. So they consider that race manipulation. Do you think this was race manipulation, or do you think this was the right thing to do and glad NASCAR didn't call it?
So my opinion is going to be it was the right decision. And I'm glad NASCAR didn't call it because, like I had already said, Martin was already back in the back. He had already had his own issues for the day. There was nothing he could do. The decision if he had decided not to help him, it would just nothing would have happened. But he decided to help out a teammate. that helps build a team chemistry. Even though we've talked about Martin, we don't know where, what exactly is going to happen with him. Is he going to retire? Is he going to come back for another, few seasons or what? It shows that, as a veteran, Martin knows things happen. Even when you were the best, something happened equipment wise and there's nothing you can do about it. So I feel like he took that in consideration and said, I'm going to help him out. That way, all of this, hard fought, positioning that Christopher Bell had gotten up to after all the pit, cycle had done, Martin said, I'm going to help him out so he doesn't lose all that progress that he had. So I still think it was a good thing. I'm glad NASCAR didn't call it, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't think this wasn't a case of, the 20 car was down 2 cylinders and was not going to be able to complete the race without a push. I mean, he probably would have finished the race. He just probably wouldn't have finished top 10. So I'd like to see more teammate chemistry like that. We don't even see that on the drafting tracks as much. You see teammates dumping teammates. You see manufacturer people dump. I mean, you go back to Talladega. Haley Deegan in the Xfinity race had a chance to win that race had Riley Herbst got behind her and pushed, both in a Ford, but Riley just went on a win around her, which took her chances away of winning away. So I would like to see that. I would like to see those other teams do that. Now, that brings up another question there's been a lot of conversation about. SMT data, the data, I don't, whatever, however you want to say it, but okay, all drivers, all teams have access to all the other teams' SMT data, which means they can see where they're braking, they can see where they're on throttle or they're off throttle, they can see this, they can see that. What do you think about other teams having access? Okay, let's just say you're a driver or a team owner. What do you think of other teams having access to your information?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say from a personal standpoint, I wouldn't like it. Especially, is just, throwing this in there, I'm within the regulations, everything is, correct tech wise and inspection wise. We got the car set up the way we want it to be, that works best for the driver. I wouldn't really personally want to share what we have set up for, to every other team. I would be okay with sharing it with my teammates. That I would have no problem. I mean, you're a team, all 4 teams work, off pretty much the same equipment anyway. I'm happy to share that with teammates, but I wouldn't exactly be happy sharing with other drivers, because if they took that and adjusted it to what helps their driver and their equipment, and then they become, 3 times faster than me, then I've got to take what I already thought was the best and try and change it. And that, sometimes that may not be possible. So I'm okay with helping my own teammates out, but I don't like giving that information to everyone else in the field. So that's my opinion on it.
I agree with that 100%. This would be like 2 NFL teams showing up to play a game, regular season, playoff, Super Bowl, whatever, and each coach walking out to the middle of the field and saying, hey, coach, here's my playbook. These are the plays I'm going to run. This is what I'm going to run every first down. This is what I'm going to run every second down. This is what I'm going to run on third down, fourth down, etc. These are my plays. Here's my playbook. I've got them marked. This is first quarter. This is second quarter. This is third quarter. This is fourth quarter. And them exchanging playbooks in the middle of the field. Now I've got your playbook. What am I going to do? I'm going to run the defense that's going to best go against your play. Okay? I have a heads up as to what you're going to do. I can go out there and beat you with your own plays because you may think that I'm doing this because you've got my playbook, but I'm going to use a play out of your playbook, and I'm going to beat you with your own play. And that's what we see happening in the Cup Series. We see drivers adjusting their driving style to other drivers' driving styles and going out there and beating them with it.
Yeah, and that's not, that's not showing off your skill. That's just showing off that you can do what everyone else does. That there's nothing special about that, in my opinion. So I'd rather you take your own setup with your own, you know, driver and take his skill set to see what he can do with that setup, and only him, hit that driver in that setup only. I don't want to see another driver take that same setup and see adjust his own driving skill to go and see what he runs with it, because with him doing that, he might run, like I said, 3 times faster than we do. So I wouldn't want to see that. So
Yeah, I mean, everything that my team does is my team's. Now, if NASCAR wants to have access to it, that's fine. But I don't think other teams should have access to Hendrick Motorsports' data. Penske shouldn't have access to Stewart-Haas data. Now, maybe during the week, if they want it during the week after the race, I don't care. But during the race, no.
yeah.
You shouldn't be able to look at what I'm doing and apply it to your car in the middle of or your driving style in the middle of the race, because I think that would eliminate some of this aero blocking that we see. Oh, he's getting 2/10 on you. He's up top. He's gaining 2/10 on you a lap. So then the next thing I do, I move up, and now he can't pass me. He's still faster, but he can't pass me. The spotter's going to tell me that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's one of the it's stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like I said, that's just going at, or it's even worse. It's more like the NBA or the NFL, the coach getting on email, and before the season starts, he emails his playbook to the whole, all the other teams in the NFL. Says, okay, these are the plays we're running this year.
Yeah. It's just, it doesn't make sense, and it's stupid. So, yeah. So continue talking about world, WWT. Bell blew up. Sucks. Although Martin helped him finish, secure a top 10 finish. Then we came down to Ryan Blaney versus Austin Cindric. However, literally coming to the white flag, Blaney was out of gas.
Yeah, he didn't see that coming. I mean, they weren't even talking about fuel mileage. Apparently, they only put in one can of gas on his pit stop, which didn't fill him up. I mean, dude needed a half a gallon of gas, quarter gallon of gas, whatever. He did not need a whole lot of gas. He had 1 lap to go. And I don't know if it was a miscalculation. I don't know if it was a fuel burn, if it was a gas mileage problem. Penske's been notorious for having some of the best gas mileage in the garage. I don't know, but heartbreaker for Ryan. I mean, Ryan is struggling this year.
Mm-hmm.
Defending champ. He's, I believe, 12th in points. Really kind of needs a win to solidify his spot in the playoffs. And he also I think he needs a win for confidence. He's had some confidence blows this year. You go to Atlanta where he finished second. I mean, that had to hurt.
Yeah.
Um, that's probably still ringing in his head more than anything. Even go back to Phoenix last year. He won the championship, but he did not win the race at Phoenix. Ross Chastain won. That had to be he's the first champion in this format in the Cup Series that didn't have to win the race to win the championship. That has to be an ego blow, a confidence blow. So he needs a win just for, if nothing else, for his confidence. And to come up one lap short had to be a heartbreaker. My question for you is, we talked about Austin Cindric being one of the drivers on the hot seat. And I remember we talked about Daniel Suarez being on the hot seat back before Atlanta, and then after Atlanta, we talked about maybe his seat's cooling down a little bit. Rumor has it that Daniel is working on a multi-year extension with Trackhouse. Penske spokesman came out and said that they had no doubt of Austin in the 2-car for long term. Do you think this win cools his seat down a little bit? Or do you think with SHR breaking up, there's an opportunity maybe to grab, a better driver? I mean, what do you think?
Oh, that's actually pretty tough. And the reason I say the tough is because, as you mentioned, SHR closing down. That's some. I mean, all four drivers. Three of them, I would say, are top notch drivers. Ford could come out, say we want to keep these drivers in Ford. If that happens, there's not very many Ford spots to go. Cindric would be, I would say Cindric and Harrison Burton would be the first two that would pop up as the hot seats when it comes to Ford. And I would say this win might have cooled it down just a little bit, but not even close to what it needs with SHR closing their doors. Because if I was Roger Penske, I would want to jump on Gregson or Barry. Although we talked about Barry going to Front Row Motorsports. Then I would want to even Briscoe, because Briscoe's had some good momentum earlier this season. So I would say he still needs to keep racing like his behind is on fire, and that his career is depending on it. Otherwise, he could lose his ride or get bumped down to Xfinity or trucks even. So that's my thoughts.
You go back 2022, he won the Daytona 500. You never heard from him again.
Right.
He made the playoffs and was eliminated in the first round.
Right.
Fast forward 2024, you never hear from him until the next thing, because his average running position this year has been 25th. Before Gateway. So, and then he goes out and he wins it. Deserving. I mean, I'm not gonna say he didn't deserve the win. He was fast all day long. He started on the front row. The car was fast all day long. So he didn't. This isn't an undeserved race. This isn't a fluke win. This isn't a rain shortened 373.5 Coca-Cola 600 win. He went out there and he was in the right place, the right time when Bell fell apart and then Blaney fell apart to be able to capitalize. But if he goes out this year and the same thing happens that happened in 2022 and he's eliminated in the first round and finishes 16th in points, that is a playoff driver because he's finished in the top 16, but Definitely not a championship contending driver. And who do you want in your car? Do you want a playoff contender or a championship contender? I'm going with the championship contender every time. He may
Right.
cost me some races, but he's going to win me some races.
I would agree. Now I will say Cindric has had, we've seen him up front earlier this season in a couple races. Atlanta, I know he was there for a little bit, but it's only been a select few races, including here at Worldwide Tech, that we've seen him. But there's been a lot of other drivers that we've talked about, that are championship contenders that have been consistently. I mean, almost every single race they're up front, and so that's if Cindric wants to really really cool down his hot seat, he needs to take that 25th average position, finishing position, and get it to the top 10s. Then I would say his seat would be good, but I don't see that happening. So I say his seat is still going to be very warm, if not hot.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to at least improve to where he's top 20 on an average running position. But now, I think he's signed through 25. Or if he's not, he's signed through 24 and they're working on a contract extension. But I don't see him getting a 3-year contract extension, maybe a 1-year contract extension, because if he goes out in 2025 and has a 2023 season where they never even, I don't even remember them talking about Austin Cindric last year. Other than he was getting lapped. So, but Penske struggled as a whole this year, and Ryan has had some moments of goodness. Austin Cindric obviously now has a race win, but Austin's win, I want you to think about this. Austin's win knocks Joey Logano out of the playoffs right now, points wise.
It does. I'm looking at him right now.
I mean, right now we've got two drivers outside the top 16 with Daniel Suarez and Austin Cindric that have won races. That bumps it's Kyle. The other one's bumped, isn't it? Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch.
That's 17th in points.
He is
or something like that.
He is 19th in points.
Yeah. So that those two drivers leapfrogging him puts him back. Puts him and Joey back. Joey's 17th, isn't he? If I remember correctly.
Joey is 18th.
Okay, so Joey's 18th. So
well, let me say this: 17th? I am looking at playoff standings, but it's
Well, that's right because that's where they're at. So that means that they both.
Yep. 17th is Chase Briscoe.
Okay, so Chase is actually on the outside looking in right now, and Chase. It wasn't that long ago we were talking about Chase Briscoe was 12th in points.
Right.
And I think Ryan Blaney was 6th in points. 6th or 7th in points. And now
he's sitting at
12th
14th.
Now.
He's 14th.
Oh, is he really?
Yep.
Oh, wow. Okay. So see, he's even. Yeah. So, okay, Michael McDowell. We're coming up to some road courses. Michael McDowell is an excellent road course racer. Put him in there. He could win. And the reason I say Michael McDowell is because Michael McDowell has shown speed this year. Logano, outside of the All-Star race, Logano hasn't shown any speed.
Nope.
Kyle Busch, every time he shows speed, he drives in over his head and has something happen like what happened with Kyle Larson this past week. And the Kyle and Kyle battle there, that was, when you go back and you watch it, that was 100% Kyle Busch's fault and cost him a lot of points. And Kyle Larson goes on to finish 10th. So right now is not the time to be getting ticked off and wrecking yourself, because that could have very well cost Kyle Busch a playoff shot, a shot at the playoffs. Kyle's not running fast. Joey's not running fast. Chase is struggling. But then you've got Alex Bowman could pop off a win. Well, guess what? That's another playoff spot. He's in the playoff right now. He's in the playoffs, but that's a win spot.
Right.
Michael McDowell could bust off a win. What happens if you get Josh Berry on one of these short tracks? You take Josh Berry to New Hampshire, and he wins the race. I mean, now what? Now you've got another Bubba Wallace on the outside looking in. Well, actually, I think he's on the inside. But again, that's another. He could pull off a win at Nashville. I mean, we've got a couple mile and a half coming up, or intermediate tracks, we'll call it. Because I think Nashville's a little bit under a mile and a half. But either which way, you've got people out there right now that do not have wins, that could get wins, that could lock these guys. It wasn't too long ago, Martin Truex was second in points and did not make the championship. Did not make the playoffs. It could happen if you're 17th, 18th, 19th in points. And just a couple years ago, the guy at second didn't make the playoffs. You're in trouble.
Yeah. So.
And right now, Joey and Kyle are in trouble.
Right. Since we're talking about points so much, I'll just go over who's pretty much where playoff standing wise. We've had 9 different winners this season. Hamlin, Larson, Byron, Bell, Reddick, Cindric, Elliott, Keselowski, and Suarez is the 9 drivers that have won. Obviously, we know Hamlin, Larson, and Byron have won multiple times. So that's the first 9 spots of playoffs gone like that.
Yep. So that leaves 7. That means you got 7 drivers left.
Yep. So sitting point standing wise, we got Martin Truex Jr. in 10th. We got Ty Gibbs in 11th. Alex Bowman is 12th. Ross Chastain 13th. Ryan Blaney, as I said earlier, is 14th. Bubba Wallace 15th. And Chris Buescher 16th. And I will say this. Go ahead.
All of which have won races, and all of which could show up this week and win.
Absolutely. So like I said, Briscoe's in 17th, Logano in 18th. And I'll throw this in. So Buescher 16th, right above the cut, Briscoe underneath him. Buescher, Briscoe, Logano, all 3 of those drivers are tied right now.
Oh, wow.
So
now they're going to the most second place finishes, most third place finishes for the tiebreaker. And that's why Buescher is ahead. And again, we go back to the way that Joey's running. Buescher's been outrunning him for the most part this year. Same thing with Chase Briscoe. So again, flip of a coin, you got to give it to Buescher because he's just been outperforming him this year.
Right. And then we got Kyle Busch, Josh Berry, and then Carson Hocevar in 21st. So that's our playoff standings as of now. And like you said, I mean, there was a driver not even here, in the top 21, Michael McDowell. He could go out and win. We got Sonoma coming up. There's still the Roval. Of course, the Roval's during.
We still got Daytona.
But we got Daytona, which McDowell has shown very strong strength at super speedways.
I mean, Chris Buescher could win. Josh Berry could win.
Josh Berry could win. Absolutely. So we still. It's still almost anyone's game. That anyone in could be out, anyone out could be in. We still have enough racing to go for that to be possible.
And if we get to Daytona, now I know Daytona is not the last race before the playoffs this year, it's Darlington. But we get to Daytona and Kyle Busch is not is not in the playoffs. Joey Logano is not in the playoffs. Chase Briscoe is not in the playoffs. Let's just say Bubba and Ryan and Chris Buescher have not won yet. We get to Daytona. It is going to be absolutely insane. It's either going to be the greatest race we've ever seen at Daytona, or it is going to be an absolute calamity of a demolition derby because you've got so many drivers who know they can win that are going to be out for blood and they're willing to wreck their mama to get in the playoffs.
Right.
So I mean, and then Darlington, you got one of the toughest tracks on the schedule as the last race before the playoffs. Follow Daytona. If you don't win at Daytona and you go into Darlington and you're desperate, when you get desperate at Darlington bites. Okay, not your other competitors, but if you go into Darlington desperate, it is going to bite you because you are going to make a mistake.
Absolutely. So
I think it's great having Darlington as the last race before the playoffs on Labor Day weekend. I know that it's that way this year because of the Olympics on NBC, but I mean, I love Daytona right before Darlington. I want to see these drivers not win at Daytona and go into Darlington desperate because I want to see the drivers that are just desperate enough not to wreck their cars versus the ones that's like we have two choices. It's checkers or wreckers.
Yep. Literally. So I think it'll definitely be interesting to watch to see what happens. So I look forward to it. Some other news that was announced yesterday with Front Row Motorsports announcing multi-year contract extension with Todd Gilliland. I don't think anyone's really shocked about that. Todd's been with Front Row pretty much since he got into the Cup Series. So,
yeah, that was a Ford seat. You mentioned Ford seats earlier. That was a Ford seat that I did not see was going to be open. Todd's done a really good job this year. He did a really good job last year too.
Yep.
But we've got the 36, the 34. Well, we assume it's going to be the 36 because that's the number that Front Rows ran before. So you got the 36 and the 34 that are open. Harrison Burton's been rumored to. That's where Chase Briscoe's going. So when you look at the Ford teams, Ford is losing 4 teams with SHR right now only gaining one of those 4, only keeping one of those 4 teams. So Ford is losing 3 teams, possibly losing 3 teams. We don't know where the 4th was going to go. We think that one of them's going to go to Trackhouse, which means Chevrolet gets a team, and the other one's going to go to 2311, which means that Toyota gets a team. It came out just a little bit ago before we started. Adam Stern reported that Front Row is paying between $20 and $25 million for their charter from Stuart Haas. Of course, they're going to be ticked off if they're not able to reach a charter agreement because they just gave Stuart Haas $25 million for nothing for a piece of paper that's worth about as much as a soiled piece of toilet paper. But I think the charter is going to get done. But either which way, in my opinion, this hurts Ford. This hurts Ford more than it benefits Chevrolet or Toyota. Losing a top tier 4-car team and only being able to retain one of those charters.
Yeah.
So lots of craziness going on, but we're learning more and more every week.
Absolutely. So that's pretty much it for racing. So if you want, we can touch on fantasy, and then our head to head. Although our head
We
to
haven't.
head,
We can
we
just
haven't.
drop the head to head because we haven't picked in 3 weeks.
Well, we can keep it between ourselves, and then whenever we you know live streaming. If you miss part one, we the future of the podcast is going to become more like a live stream. Once a week after the races, we'll talk about the races while we're playing a game. So we can still, even if we don't talk about it on the live stream, we can still head to head between ourselves and just keep the podcast updated. We were dumb and missed a few races, but that's
Well,
okay.
that was. I wouldn't really say we were done. We were both super super busy.
Yeah,
Both had a lot of things going on. Um, so. But man, you want to talk about the fantasy? I caught you. You messed up
I did.
this
I
week
did.
and didn't change your fantasy lineup, and I caught up. I got a lot of points on you.
You did. Charlotte, I did really well. I got 227. You got 217. And Trey, who finally, after I reminded him, finally changed his lineup, had 197. And then for Worldwide Tech is where I messed up. I didn't change it. I was super busy, completely forgot. I kind of got sprung on to a last minute thing with work, which is okay. So I completely forgot about it as I got wrapped up in that. So I did horrible. Thankfully, Trey also did horrible. So we both had 134. But you whipped us at 230, almost 100 points more. So
Get used to it.
okay, sure.
I'm gonna have at least 500 points by the end of the season on you.
We'll see. Um, Overall, I'm still holding on to the lead. However, that lead is no longer what it used to be. I'm at 28-17. You're at 27-84. So you're about 30-ish points behind me. So you are gaining on me quite a bit. And then Trey's sitting back there at 22-57. I hate to say it, but I think Trey's pretty much done. His schedule's pretty much busy at this point. He forgets about it too much, so I don't know what to tell him.
Yep.
So head to head though, I mean our head to head's back at North Wilkesboro. Um,
Yeah, that's why I said we could just go ahead and.
I don't even know who exactly finished where of our picks. I know for the truck race, I won. Corey Heim had won the race, and that he was my pick, and you had Tyler Ankrum. So I know I won that one. However, when it comes to the Open and All-Star race, I don't know. I know Noah Gregson got in from as my pick. He got in from the fan
Vote.
vote. You had Ty Gibbs in who won the Open.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I know you. Well, I won. I won in the All Star too because Chase finished top 10 and William Byron hit the wall, and they basically turned it into a short track test session. So.
it seems like we're still even at like 17-17.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah. Anyway.
But well, I guess with that being said, who do you pick for Sonoma?
Oh, Sonoma. Have I picked? I need to go look at my picks. Crap, I picked Denny. Sonoma. I picked Truex. I picked Reddick.
We've both picked some good road course, typical Sonoma
You
road
know
course
what?
winners.
I'm gonna go with Daniel Suarez.
Okay. I can understand
He
that.
he won there in 2022, so
He did. So I'm gonna go on a limb here. I'm gonna pick Michael McDowell.
that's a good pick.
We were talking about him. He's good road course. He's got a lot of momentum so far. What about Xfinity? Um, trucks
Is
are
Xfinity
off
running
this
this
week,
weekend?
so Xfinity is running.
No,
They're running.
yeah, Xfinity's running his trucks and stuff this week. I'm gonna go with you know what? I'm gonna go with SVG.
SVG again?
I think he'll go back to back. Yep.
Okay,
I
I
mean,
can see that.
I leave you if I pick SVG, I leave you a layup, wide open layup, not necessarily a dunk, but a layup.
Oh, do you now?
Oh yeah. I mean, if you're not seeing, I mean, who's the winningest Xfinity road course racer on the circuit right now?
AJ Allmendinger.
All right, see, there you go.
So, um, now that you've made a solid case, that will be who I pick. I was gonna pick originally. I was actually originally gonna pick. I don't know how to spell Suarez. I'm sorry. I was originally gonna pick Justin Allgaier. Basically have another showdown of Portland, but maybe a different outcome. But you
Well,
made a
if
good
AJ
point.
wouldn't have had if AJ wouldn't have had those problems in practice, I guarantee he'd have been up front.
I would agree. Most likely he would have been. So I'll go with AJ.
Ugh.
All right.
Yep.
That's that. Are we done? Did we catch up? Are we back to
Yeah,
today?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Um,
All right. Well, everybody, watch our streaming because that's where we're going to move the show over to game streaming. May not be every week, may just be every other week. We don't know. We will be back to do a show like this at the end of the season to recap the season. Um, talk about all of the craziness of silly season. Do our way too early preseason picks. And at the end of the season, we will also go back to our preview show and list the drivers that we put in the playoffs and compare it to those that made the playoffs. And because we went from the round of 16 to the round of 12 to the round of 8 to the final four, and we picked champions on our preview show. So at the end of the year, we'll go back and we'll look at that and we'll see where those drivers finished and how correct we were or how wrong we were. I can already tell you that your playoff bracket was busted when Christopher Bell made it because you took him out
I did.
of the playoffs.
I did indeed.
Um, so I think most of mine's still intact. I can't remember. We'll have to go back
Well,
and look at that, but
I think
we'll revisit that.
we've both busted already just because we had Suarez and Cindric We had neither of them originally when we did our bracket, so we've both busted from them getting in. So
Yeah.
it's definitely just now it's gonna be who narrowed it down to the champion, the best to the champion. So definitely something we'll have to look into. That's something I can do on my
Well,
downtime.
I can tell
So
you both of our championship picks have won races and are in locked into the playoffs. So that's not even an issue with our championship pick.
obviously, it's just seeing how far did our other round of eight and round of 12, round of eight, round of championship four. How well did we narrow that down? So I guess we'll see. I'll go back and I'll make that out for us, and we'll discuss that for the end of the season show. So yeah, like you said, we're gonna move over to gaming stream. So it'll be live streamed on YouTube. If you miss it, it'll be there anyway. So stay tuned for that. Due to scheduling, probably won't be every week, like you said as well. At least every other week. We'll try at least every other week. So yeah,
And you might see some non NASCAR related news too.
maybe. It just depends. We may talk about we tend to talk about NBA and then some other things. So uh, yeah.
All right, well I'm only gonna give one non sponsor shout out this week. I'm gonna give a shout out to our friends over at circlebdiecast.com. Um, Still loving what we're seeing. If you haven't and you recorded it, go back and watch NASCAR Race Hub's thing that they did on Diecast yesterday. I have not had a chance to watch it. It's on the DVR. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it. But they talked about the history of Diecast. They showed some. I saw some pictures. They showed some pretty impressive collections that people have. Some collections that I would never match unless somebody buys me one of those $1 billion lottery tickets. The winning lottery tickets, because just buying me $1 billion lottery ticket that doesn't win is a waste of money. But I mean, some of these people, their house is basically a NASCAR diecast collection. um, but if you need a diecast, check out circlebdiecast.com. They have pre-orders for your latest race wins up. They've got cars that are coming in almost on a weekly basis now that were from last year, even some from this year. They've got a previously owned collection, which has a couple cars on there that I would like to get, but the prices that they have them on are comparable with eBay prices, but they're just prices that right now don't work in my budget. So, but last time I looked, they had the Kevin Harvick 2013 Bell Helicopters Richmond win on there. Elite. So if you're looking for one of those, go check them out. Have your checkbook handy because it's up there in price. But that's just the value. That's the way the market works. So if you don't buy it, and back in 2013, I did not know what a pre-order was. So I've been collecting diecasts since 1989, 1990, when the Days of Thunder 164s came out, and you could buy them at Exxon. You could buy them at Walmart. You could buy them at Kmart. I'm aging myself here. um, I think I got most of my original set. I think I got at Exxon because that was the gas station between the house and work where my parents would stop to get gas all the time. So I think that was where, I got all 5 of the Days of Thunder, and that really started my diecast, and it just kind of blossomed from there. They started putting 124s on the shelf. I started getting 124s. I mean, it was just one of those. Their price difference is a lot different now than what they were back then, but when you go and you look at the market today, it's different than it was back in the early 90s. There was competition back in the 90s. There was competition back in the 2000s. Right now, Lionel is the exclusive diecast manufacturer, so they've kind of got a corner on the market. Actually, Performance had there for a while before Lionel bought them out. So there are some cars from the early 2010s to now that they got a big value on them. So check out CircleBDiecast.com for all of your diecast needs from yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
Definitely.
Hey, I
Normally,
like that. They should use that and then pay me for it.
Circle B sponsor. We can move you to the sponsored part. Huh? Okay, I'll quit being weird now. For now, I'm always weird, but we knew that. So yeah.
So
Circle B,
check this out. I want to bring this out real quick.
Uh-oh.
This is one of the cars that they did last year.
Okay, I can't read
this
it.
This is one of Live Fast, BJ McLeod, Circle B cars that they sponsored last year.
Oh.
This is the non-autographed version that I actually bought by mistake. I meant to get the autographed.
Oops.
But not only are they in the business of diecasts for, providing diecasts for us through Lionel, they also give back to the sport. And that's cool that they're able to do that and that they're willing to do that. They did it this year as well. They ran a Josh Bilicki throwback at Darlington with the number 92 car.
Yeah.
So check them out.
Definitely. That was actually a very pretty BJ McLeod 78 car too. I kind of like that paint scheme.
Well, guess what? This one is going in your collection.
Yay! Cool, works for me. So yeah, a lot of.
I will eventually order the autographed one for my collection.
Yeah.
Just right now, the budget's not working with me.
So fun fact, my collection started from pretty much Circle B, but it started from you ordering the non-autographs by accident. So I started getting those, and then now I've started getting my own autographed ones on top of that myself.
I think we really started yours with Chase Elliott's first win at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, officially.
I think the first one that we ordered for you, specifically for you. Then we had to backtrack because we had to go get some of his older cars for you.
Yep.
Good luck getting some of those cars now. Oof.
I'm glad I got them because there's a lot of sponsors and the number change. Sun Energy being one of them. It's hard to get your hands on a Sun Energy sponsored Chase Elliott car just because they're not sponsoring anymore. Thankfully, I have a few of them. One of them being that Watkins Glen win. So, but yeah. So check out Circle B. Normally we have a lot more shout outs for our non-sponsored side, but due to just timing, we're tired. But a lot of people on Twitter, a lot of podcasts, which we get a lot of our news and sources are from. They're all linked in the description below, so make sure you check them out. Tell Circle B that Duke Ryder came up with a really cool slogan for them. We'd love to have them sponsor us for that. So anyways, for our sponsors, thank you to our sponsors. Of course, you've got Swift Grips, analog grips for your controllers, PS5 or PlayStation, Xbox, or Nintendo Switch. For you sweaty gamers out there that can't keep your thumb on the analog stick when you get sweaty thumbs. So check them out and use code SterlingRider for 10% off with them. You also got Dubby, guess what? They just released their cans. Here's what they look like. Pretty delicious. Really, really good. This is their strawberry banana. They also have a orange. It's like a mango cream. Orange mango cream, something like that. I feel bad because I don't actually remember. I knew it was orange, and I knew I'd prefer the strawberry over the orange anyway. So this is their strawberry. It's really, really good. Drink it when it's cold. Okay? W has said that on Twitter. Drink it when it's cold.
The colder, the better.
The colder, the better. Absolutely. Super good. They put a lot of work into these cans, into what's, the content in the can, the energy drink itself. So they've always made sure their products are worth, top notch, after tons of testing and tasting. So get look into them for your energy drink needs. They also have hydration mix as well, which I use constantly when I go to the gym. So check them out. They also have merch. As you see, I have a hat on. So download their app. Use code SterlingRider for 10% off. I will say their energy drinks, their canned energy drinks, the code does not work for them right now, as this is their first time trying them. So if it gets popular, though, go order some. Order some merch as well. Use the code. Help them out with the canned energy drinks. They're really good. You'll like them too. So thank you to them. And also thank you to Rankest Ranch. Did I say that right? Hold on. Let me look at the hat.
No.
Rankest Rope. It's Rankest Rope, not Rankest Ranch. It's Rankest Rope Ranchwear. I'm sorry, buddy. Check them out. I'm wearing their Turn and Burn shirt. Check them out. Western apparel, Old Western and rodeo apparel. Man, I'm just really tripping over my words today. I guess it was time. Right? I normally do every podcast. I normally trip over my words anyway. But check them out. Like I said, rodeo and Old Western style mix, hat, shirts, hoodies, and button ups. I have one of their button ups as well. Super nice, great church wearing shirt. I'll say that. So check them out as well, and use code SilverDuke15 for 15% off at checkout. So thank you to all three of those sponsors. Thank you to all the non-sponsors that help us get our news, and Circle B for our own love of diecast. So yeah. Anything else?
It will probably be another 3 weeks before you see us again, because this next week is just going to be getting stuff together, getting stuff ready, because the next week I'm going to be away. And so I'll have internet access, but not great internet access. So anyway, we will be back in a few weeks after that to do some streaming, some gaming, some funning. And we'll talk about the races between then and now, and we'll talk about how much better NBC is than Fox.
Absolutely. So yeah, like you said, and like I've said earlier, even, and in part one, which was like 2 weeks before this, is I apologize for the time delay. We both got really busy with scheduling. But yeah, we're moving over to live stream gaming. So make sure you hit the notification bell so you know when I go live. That way you know when the podcast is live. I normally go live at least once a week. I've been really busy with scheduling, but hopefully the podcast helps that with that as well. So you can see some gaming content as well, because it's kind of the whole reason I made the channel. So hit the notification bell. Make sure you hit like. Make sure you subscribe, so you're always seeing us in the feed. Because when you're bored, hey, what's better than to watch two goofballs talk about NASCAR and play a video game that they probably suck at? I don't think we suck at NASCAR itself, but I'm sure we'll play something that we.
NASCAR Heat servers are down right now, so that could be the end of them.
No, iRacing, hurry up!
Right.
We'll figure something out. We'll keep you entertained. That way you don't watch us just talking and kind of the pictures just kind of
And
been all over the
if
place because of my internet. So
if all goes as planned, you will get to see us debut and play the new NCAA football 25 in a couple of
absolutely.
months as
Oh
well.
man, I'm so ready for that game already. I've got it. I've got it
Yep.
in the court, ready to hit pre-order. I've got it in the cart, ready to get it. I'm so ready to play that game. So that comes out next month though. Still got to wait another month, but that's okay. I'm willing to wait. So yeah. So make sure you hit the notification bell. That way you know when the live stream starts, or when the live stream is uploaded. So you can go listen to us and enjoy some gaming content as well. So with that being said, that's all. So we thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time. So with that being said, oh, it's been so long since I've done an outro. Peace out, right on. God bless.